What's going on? Let's talk about the absolute Mount Everest of all challenges that I know each one of us has faced at least once in our lives. Scheduling. Specifically, scheduling when it involves a wife and kids. In fact, just this morning, the family and I were planning on doing a little sesh out here in the gym. I was thinking, we'll start in about 30 minutes and wrap up around 10:15.
1 hour later.
Yeah, as you can tell, that didn't happen. Scheduling anything with a family is never clean. In fact, it's beautifully chaotic at times. But if you want to lead your family and still hit your goals, you need to learn how to adapt, especially without losing your mind. Come on. Start when I first got married, and then we had our oldest. I was a stickler for a schedule. If it detracted or messed up the things I wanted to get done, I would let that ruin my entire day. As you can imagine, that made for a fun and enjoyable time. I started to explore why I was that way, why I had to be so in control of the entire schedule. I soon realized that that was my way of dealing with my stress in life, by controlling everything. God calls us not to obsess over everything. God calls us not to obsess over controlling every situation, but to steward what we've been given with faithfulness and trust Him with the outcome. So the important thing is, don't focus on the time, the location, or the situation. Hold up. The real focus should be how well you send it in the situation that you're in. Now I'm going to share with you the 3 things that I actually do to dial in my mornings. I start out by identifying my non-negotiables: ice bath, work, family time, working out, and school. Once I identify all of those, I try my damnedest to ensure that I dedicate a time slot for it. See, for me, working out and ice baths, I do those first thing in the morning, right before work. And then work happens, and that's definitely immovable, but I try to get as much as possible done during work. So schoolwork, anything that I can do to make when I come home more about the family. And then spending time with the kids in the evening. And then after their bedtime, I focus on whatever I missed or didn't finish. Secondly, after I list out all the immovables, I ask myself, are they really immovable? When I started making these lists, I would put laundry, dishes, or mowing on the immovable list. That's not saying that those aren't important, but they shouldn't be ruling your day. What I mean by this is, if you have a goal, but at the end of the day you say, I have no time to pursue it, you need to ask yourself one of 2 questions. Is this goal what I really want to do? Or what can I move from my immovable list to the low impact list while I'm pursuing my goal? And lastly, this is one of the important ones. Do not stress about your immovable or low impact list. God tells us in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3, commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. Basically, if you are doing what you know to be right, everything else will fall into place. Those low impact tasks that I told you go on a separate list, start doing those with your family. It's important for many reasons, but the main one is it teaches your kids responsibility and it gets them to put in some sweat equity into your home, which is ultimately their home too. But that's a talk for a different day. The point is, if you have a daily calendar sitting right in front of you and you're filling up every time slot throughout that entire day, you're setting yourself up for stress, resentment, and burnout. Ultimately, you're forcing yourself into failure. Remember something that I remind myself quite often. Ask yourself, what's more important? Working out at the exact time that you scheduled, or getting to work out as a family? Once you figure out how to ask yourself that type of question over everything, it'll click. At least it did for me. See, we're not perfect. You will fail at this. You will get frustrated and you will get off track. But just like when your kids are learning something new, don't forget that they were made to learn. So are you. So when it gets hard, don't give up. When you feel like you're failing, don't give up. Just give it a try. Drop your best scheduling tip in the comments below. And hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my daily ice bath talks. Also, subscribing helps us out. So, day 188 down. Remember, be kind, be great, dial it in, and most importantly, keep on sending it. Fun fact, I tied together today, scheduling with your kids is like cold plunging. You're never really ready for it, but it makes you better in the end. Moral of the story is, life doesn't follow your schedule, but you can still lead your family well if you focus on what's truly important. All right, time to go mess someone else's schedule up. It's clench butt cheeks time.